Yeah, baby. Let's do OB Live from one of my favorite places on planet Earth. We're at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. I've got my Deep Eddy Espresso shirt on. They've still got some of that merch. The espresso bottles are gone. We told you that this week, but they've got 4 cocktails with espresso. We'll talk more about that. That's, of course, Jeff Ketchum, and I'm Chad Hastings. And this is OB Live, and Texas is about to play Arkansas. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm the weather. I think we don't always do a lot of Texas football games where the weather is a theme, but it might be, and kind of getting the early taste of that. It's not I don't know, when we talked about this event in my mind, the sun was out. It's a beautiful November day.
Right.
And it's kind of crappy. It's not ideal, and It's like I'm in Austin today. I would like some better weather, and like what we deal with is what we're going to deal with. And you know what? That might be a theme tomorrow in this game.
Yeah.
All season long, when Texas has played teams like Arkansas, whether it be Mississippi State or Kentucky or any number of games that they've had, right, that haven't included the Georgias or the Ohio States or the Oklahomas of the world or even Vanderbilt, there's a little bit of what is this performance, because the playoffs are the bar, because Ohio State is still the bar. And it feels like maybe next week you can think about that, but the bar tomorrow is Arkansas. It just needs to be Arkansas. It needs to be play them a little bit like you would have played Vanderbilt, right? Play your opponent, play your game. But it feels like tomorrow, I think, has got a little bit of an ominous vibe to it. And I'm expecting a game that's high scoring. I'm expecting Texas to not have Anthony Hill. I think that, I've lost a little bit of faith of this defense. It has given up a lot of points and a lot of passing yards over the course of the last 5 quarters or so. I don't know that taking out Anthony Hill fixes that. So, from a game standpoint, we're going to talk about something a little off the field related in a little bit, because I think it occurs at the exact same time. And we touched on the importance of it a little bit yesterday, but I don't know. I don't know who this Texas football team is going into week 11 of the season. I really don't. Like, Steve Sarkisian made a point on Thursday in the last media availability that he did when he wasn't talking about Desmond Howard, that this is a team that's only played 1 home game since September. I don't know what this team is at home. Like, I really don't. Like, we know what this team is on the road. And in the end, that's kind of what we got last week. As much as in retrospect, I feel foolish for having picked Texas to beat Georgia, because it would have required the best version of the team that we haven't seen so far this season. What we got was exactly kind of what we expected. They didn't play well on the road against Kentucky. They didn't play well on the road against Ohio State, at least offensively, Mississippi State, you name it. In the end, they gave us a non-full performance against the one team you couldn't. I don't know what to even judge this team on with regards to what should we expect when they play at home. They've played 1 conference opponent at home. And I don't know. Like, if you told me they come out and do what they did to Vanderbilt for 3 quarters, I wouldn't be shocked at all. But if you also told me this game will feel in the 4th quarter like the Arkansas game did, or like the Vanderbilt game did, that also doesn't sound completely surprising. So I don't know. When we're getting ready, this is a game where I could be prepared for anything. And I kind of am when I think about what is tomorrow night when we're doing the post-game show over at Texas Card House Social. I really don't know what that conversation sounds like. In my mind, it probably sounds like, woo, survive that one. Right. Now let's get ready for Texas A&M, but it could be a myriad of possibilities.
So before we get into the recruiting theme of the weekend that we want to talk about, what's your prediction for the game?
I got like 38-31. I think the over and under is 57 or 58. I think there's going to be more points than that. I think it's going to take 30 to win, maybe 31. Obviously, I've got Texas scoring 38. I saw Cody Carpentier had 30. I was just looking at the predictions on orangebloods.com a second ago, and it looks like everybody's got 30s or 20s or something.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know that I'm not expecting Texas to be outstanding on defense tomorrow. They haven't been, as the season's coming to an end, I don't know what they are at cornerback. I really don't know what they're going to be at linebacker tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I do expect that Texas will score some points. And that's really one of the things that you can set your watch by with this Arkansas teams. They will score some points, but they'll give some up too. And so it wouldn't be surprising if statistically we see Arch Manning's best game of the season. If there's an opponent that seems teed up to potentially give them something like that, I think, and it may take all of that. It may take the offense having maybe one of its best days of the season to guarantee that they get a win over a team that a lot of people think is the worst team in the SEC right now, but they just keep playing teams tough. Like you can't be 6 of us voting on the Orange Bloods power poll. You get 1 point for the worst team in the league, and you get 16 for being the best team. 6 people voted. Arkansas got 7 votes.
Yeah.
That means 5 of us voted them the worst team. Another voted them the second worst team. And yet it doesn't feel, and I think this really probably speaks to maybe both sides of this game a little bit, but it does speak to you can't take it to the bank. Texas has not been so good this season consistently that they'll just casually dismiss a bad football team. It's disappointing that that's the case. I think we would have thought this game will be tough because it's Arkansas and it's a rivalry game, but it's really tough because Texas, in terms of playing to a standard, just hasn't all season long. And so who knows? Tomorrow's a box of chocolates.
If you guys want to throw your score predictions in, here's Paxton saying 37-27, agreeing with Ketch that it's got to get up into the 30s. Somebody else saying 35 points is what it's going to take to win this game. Here's a 27-17 Texas. Yeah, you and I have the exact same score for Texas. I got 38-35. I got it as a little bit closer. I think it could end up as kind of what A&M Arkansas ended up with. That was a 14-point game late. Arkansas scored. There was never this true danger. It came down to honestly what the Vanderbilt game did for Texas.
I was going to say very kind of similar.
Right. If you covered an onside kick, then you'd have gotten the drive. Arkansas didn't do that. I think it's going to be that kind of thing. And you mentioned the weather. That's an interesting one. If this is a rain kind of game, does that sloppy up both teams and pull the score down? But I'm with you. I'm up in the 30s. So let us know. Kelly, I hope you're right. I hope we're both wrong and you're dead on.
Oh, man, Kelly, I'll take that.
38-10 sounds like a good day tomorrow.
Is Kelly here?
Kelly. Oh,
that is Kelly.
Is that Kelly that says right here that's saying hello?
I want to say, you know what? My wife earlier this week was talking mess about my eyesight.
Yes.
And I'm not looking at the biggest screen in the world. In that picture, I almost can't make out who that is. And yet my 49-year-old eyes. So I was like, I just saw that person. I literally.
Exactly. She's right there. She's right there.
I'm proud of myself is all I'm saying. That somehow, because now that I'm looking at the picture, I'm like, how did I pull that off?
Yeah. Well,
it's very tiny.
And as long as we're referencing, Kelly, can I get a thumbs up? Are you doing one of the espresso drinks? One of the espresso drinks? Yes, maybe. Catch, they've got 4.
She's doing a drink.
4 cocktails that involve the espresso vodka. They are the Lone Star Buzz. I'm told you if you like cinnamon, there was a cinnamon toast.
Are you a cinnamon guy?
I like cinnamon. And there was a Cinnamon Toast Crunch reference made. If you give me alcohol that you say tastes like cereal, I'm interested.
Yeah, I've just never been a cinnamon. Give me the next. I'm going to be another one. Okay, keep going.
The Midnight Mocha is if you're into chocolate. It's got chocolate cream involved. Then they've got just your wonderful straight up espresso martini made with the Deep Eddy espresso vodka. And then there's a frozen White Russian that is so up my alley. I can't even tell you. I had a little taste of it, and it's glorious. It's the espresso vodka and the regular vodka, and there's the cream in there, and it's like a frozen. Oh, it's wonderful. Those are the 4.
I think I'm number 3.
You're going with the espresso martini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little like tried and true. You go to a barbecue place and you look at the menu.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you know what? Brisket.
Yeah. So come on out and have those. They don't, again, the bottles are sold out. I'm crossing my fingers. This becomes flavor number 10. They've got the cocktails with the espresso and some espresso merch, shirts, little collectible glasses and cups and stuff. If you want to come out and check some of that out, but also come out for some Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue, come out and hang. We're going to do Q&A. If you want to ask Jeff Ketchum a question about all the crazy madness going on right now,
I may not
this is
answer.
your day. He may not answer,
but if I have one of those martinis, I might say everything.
Yes,
like
today's Jeff Ketchum rant brought to you by Deep Eddy Espresso.
I'm not
vodka.
there yet, but I could get there. Let's talk some recruiting, and like by the end of that, I might be
We'll do it. Before we get into the recruiting discussion, let's just remind you, Catch mentioned TCH Social Austin. That is where we're going tomorrow for the watch party. We've been doing it all season. Please come out and see us. $3 jellyfish is part of the deal. Y'all know that's my favorite. I'm going to do the pulled pork sandwich this week because Arkansas, and we're going to throw Texas and Arkansas in the middle of that big badass screen, biggest screen in Austin, 183 and Anderson Mill. Come see us tomorrow. It will be a lot of fun. All right, let's jump into this thing because Catch, not only is this the next game and the biggest game, and they need to, start if they're going to show the committee anything, they need to start showing them some better football. But this is a big recruiting weekend because of that schedule Sark mentioned. It's been weird. It was 11 a.m. with Vandy, and they just haven't been home in a while. It's a big weekend in recruiting. So let's jump into this. Tell me where your mind is on this recruiting weekend.
Well, I think we know it's really important because, Sark really stressed that yesterday. In fact, when Anwar asked him the question, he was like, "Oh, that's a good question." And I was like, "Man, okay, Sark, what makes it a good question?" Like, you know what I mean? Like on some level, it could have been a pretty benign recruiting answer where it's like, we just need to get guys on campus. But to paint the story of we just haven't had a lot of opportunities to have anybody on campus during the football season. And then next week against A&M has its own series of potential, problematic blocking paths for guys being able to get down here. Primarily, they might be playing football. So it does make sometimes these later in the season November games. Oh, get a good crowd, though, for the A&M game. But what's really interesting about this weekend for me, besides like they'll probably have a gang of 2027 guys and this will be their chance to just, I think, get out in front of some guys, but they've got some guys coming in 2026, a couple of pretty big time guys.
Yeah.
Richard Anderson is committed to LSU.
That's the one that was blinking at me. We talked about him earlier.
He is a consensus 5-star prospect.
Yeah.
And
are we talking like single digit in the country at what he does? Like, is it that? Is it?
He's the number 2 defensive lineman in the country.
Okay.
So Texas got Richard Wesley, the defensive end commitment. And the sense was, okay, they got their big dog in this class. You're not getting Richard Anderson to flip without, I think, probably a pretty massive. Like, what are you doing on the revenue sharing front or whatever that you're getting that guy away from LSU? Because LSU is going to protect their home base. And this is a guy that, as a new coach comes in, by the way, there's a lot of rumors today that might be Lane Kiffin. And what's it going to take? And I think that's really interesting because they've got him. They've got the offensive lineman, the Martinez kid, also a Louisiana kid coming in for a visit.
Now, is he committed to LSU or just from Louisiana?
Just from Louisiana.
Okay, hasn't committed yet. Gotcha.
No, he is committed to LSU. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, both of them are.
I just don't think you're getting those guys without an NIL investment or a revenue sharing investment that's pretty legit. And one of the things that I'm hearing and talking to a myriad of people all week long is like, look, probably not going to see us get real frisky in these final couple of weeks of the recruiting process, that you might not see a lot of flips. You might not see the big, whoa, you got Jalen Lott to flip. You know what I mean? I think there's a little bit of like, this is what Texas does, right? We saw them at this time last year. It was when the Justice Terry stuff really started picking up, where it was like, we're hearing
late money, late offers.
Texas is not quite sure what's what on a retention standpoint, but there's a lot of money invested in this roster that has not completely shaken itself out with the season not having ended. They know they have to go into the portal. I've been told, like, don't expect Texas to go big. I've heard that probably from a half dozen people. And yet they have guys coming in this weekend.
You got to talk big with a guy like that.
You're wasting your time on some level to bring Richard Anderson in and then not say 1 point whatever it would cost to get a guy like that. If it's that much, like maybe the costs are down, but everybody knows that a big money out means maybe that's less money for the portal. And I don't think they even truly know yet what is going to be needed for retention and for the portal. I'm fascinated to see how this goes. How do you bring in a Richard Anderson?
Yeah.
Make a big run at him and not somewhat, because I'll say this, and the reason why this is really interesting is I don't know that Richard Anderson plays next season.
Yeah. And we got, Michelle's with a chat. We need to get Frisky in the portal. Somebody else saying set aside money for the portal. So is that how they could be thinking about this? They got to talk.
I know that's how some people are thinking about it. Is that how Steve Sarkisian is thinking about it?
If Anderson asks a question about money, or if it just comes to that moment, are they going to actually try to get him in and out this weekend and not talk money? Is that the goal?
I can't imagine that we're this far. I mean, we're a couple of weeks away from signing day. So this is the time.
Right.
There's not much waiting around at this point.
Right. The offer's got to be now, whatever it is.
And
right?
I think Texas, with most of their guys, the guys that they didn't get, like they never really made, I think, a big financial push for a guy like Jalen Lott. I think Jalen Lott's probably been hurt I think he was a guy when the season started. It was like, don't be surprised if they go after the legacy kid committed to Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot of sense. Though that's a guy I wouldn't be shocked once they decide what they want to do with some spending. They'll go in on that guy. And then what's happened? All of the guys that are similar to his profile this season, whether it's at wide receiver or defensive back, other than Grayson Littleton, right? Mm-hmm. They've all just not been impactful this season. And there really is look, everybody agrees that Richard Anderson's got a chance to be a future NFL player. But so does Lance Jackson. So does a number of guys at Texas. And I think Sarkisian went to painstaking lengths yesterday to say, we got a bunch of young guys on our team that are going to be really good in time. But they're not ready to play yet, and we have to be patient with them. But there is a conversation right now that's ongoing about where do you spend the money? And I think the ideology a year ago would have been, let's go get Richard Anderson by any means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are a number of guys that they took a by any means necessary approach, Justice Terry being one of them. And they've just not gotten really anything, with all due respect to the 7 plays that he made last week, or the 7 plays that he didn't make, but he played in, made tackles in 4 of them. They've got nothing out of that. And can they afford to do that again? Can they afford to not go into the portal to address wide receiver, take a bunch of 5-star wide receivers, and then none of them make a dent in a season where you're 7-3 right now, and a few more players making a few dents, maybe the difference between 8-2 or 9-1, or Texas controlling its own destiny. And that's not what they are right now.
Yeah, it's a wild conversation with this many guys coming in. So off of the recruiting show this week with Jason, I get the sense that there's some 27 guys coming in as well. But as you mentioned, these 26 guys are going to be kind of part of the late focus. Derek Cooper is also a part of the group, if I'm not mistaken, this weekend that's coming in. So they're trying to, just solidify everything here in the
Cooper's such
class.
An interesting guy. His recruiting stocks kind of plummeted.
Really?
There was, in the summertime, he's basically the number 2 running back in the country. Pretty strong consensus. And he commits to Texas. And then his rankings, I'll pull them up, but the most obvious one is that 24/7 updated their rankings this week. And they dropped him to almost in the bottom, almost out of the top 200.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's a guy that Texas.
Is there some injury in high school? Is there some?
No, he's actually having a better season this year, averaging 10 yards a carry, whereas a year ago it was a little over 7.
Wow.
But
everything I see, every time I see his film, it looks awesome.
Now, I have never thought I'm looking at Adrian Peterson, right? I don't know that I'm watching a guy he's a little bit CJ Baxter-ish for me, where it's his top end speed's really good, but he's not a guy that you necessarily think hits top end speed easily and quickly. But he's a guy that you could tell me could be a 3-year starter. And he's a guy that you could tell me I'm not quite sure what his highest upside is.
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating because, that is we've heard even in the last 48 hours that running back will probably be a position that we see them. And look, they're looking at a guy that for a second running back in this class right now, former Minnesota commitment that's coming in for a visit this weekend.
Kid from Georgetown,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I think they're looking at that position probably different than they would have 12 months ago, certainly, but maybe even more than like 3 or 4 months ago. And I think the one thing that they're really learning is, and they've learned in this wide receivers class, if you're hoping for a boost, maybe don't depend on the true freshman to get it done every time, because that's worked a lot for Sarkisian throughout his 5 seasons at Texas. It didn't this season. They signed the number 1 recruiting class in the country from a high school standpoint, and they've really had no super impactful impression made by a single player, really, right? I mean, Grayson Littleton, and we're talking about, there's not many. Lance Jackson's on the short list of guys that you would talk about.
It's really those two, and I certainly can't think of one on offense we would really talk about. Guys that have had
there's not. I mean, Nick Brooks would have had that responsibility if he just is by default your starting offensive lineman.
Yeah.
But none of those freshman wide receivers have really made a dent. We won't go into a game tomorrow expecting Texas to score 30-something points, right? We've all got Texas essentially in the 30s in this game, which is interesting because they've not really been that all season long. We're giving them some benefit of the doubt to get there.
Let me just tell you, after watching my team play Arkansas, this is a defense that will make you feel good about yourself.
But the thing is, and yes, I know, and everybody would say that's been on the schedule.
Yeah.
But if I say Arch throws for 330 and 4 touchdowns tomorrow, that might not surprise you. But if I told you that a true freshman wide receiver was on the receiving end,
I'd be shocked
of one of those touchdowns.
Shocked.
You would be, because that would mean, well, wait a minute.
Mild shock.
Was that the 5th guy in the rotation or the 6th guy in the rotation? And that's not what those guys are brought to be. But I think there have been some lessons learned. And look, I think that's a big part of the conversation. They'll have guys coming in this weekend, and there's like, that is this where how many $1 million guys does Texas have left in its arsenal, both in the portal and in high school? So if this guy's $1 million guy, right, that's what it's going to take to get this kid away as a 5-star defensive lineman who are worth their weight in gold. If you're going to pull that guy away from LSU, and it's going to take that much money, what are you not now able to buy?
In the portal?
In the portal.
Yeah.
Is that
and Texas fans right now would answer
Concepcion next year? Is that
right?
The difference between having that guy for Arch Manning and not?
Texas fans would answer, if it's a receiver, running back, or offensive lineman that it costs you, think twice.
So look, Derek Cooper is ranked 11th in the country in a 5-star by ESPN.
Okay.
The 2 most respectable recruiting rankings that are left, ESPN's usually kind of thought of as the bottom tier.
Okay.
But Rivals has him at number 216 nationally, and that's the Rivals On3 merger. It's really 2 companies worth of guys.
Right.
216 nationally, and 24/7 has him at 156.
Okay.
That is essentially what Christian Clark was ranked coming out of high school. It's not
elite.
Not like that guy changes your running game when he comes in. But I think Texas has recruited that guy, and I think they communicated to him that they're going to pay him like a guy who is.
Are they treating him like he's Adrian Peterson?
I think in this probably to whatever degree, they went into this recruiting class saying that we need to have a guy that can come out of this as immediate impact. There aren't a lot of those guys available this year. Isaiah Crowell was the guy that was their number 1 target. He commits to Alabama. And what they essentially did was went to Derek Cooper, who they weren't even in his top 5, July 1st-ish, and was like, hey, big boy, I don't know if you've heard, but we need a running back. You're next up on our list.
Right.
Very profitable position to be in if you're Derek Cooper.
And I forget, at that point, had KJ Edwards already committed or not?
Oh, I think so, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. I'm trying to remember the
I was trying to remember
that,
the ordering of it, but yeah. Okay. By the way, I see that super chat, Jay. We will get to that.
But there's some ideologies conflicting and kind of going head up with each other here.
Well, before I get to the super chat, Jay, I'll get there, I promise. But I like this one because I wish we could get Wesco Jr. from Clemson or Coleman from Auburn. I had forgotten about Wesco. I don't know if he wants to go anywhere, but my God.
Well, he's had a real I think he's been hurt.
Okay.
Like he's just like I think he's hurt.
If that level of talent wants to move, that's going to be another one on the list.
Look, I think my sources will tell me that the prices of cost of business is going to go down because there's not so much money. I mean, even think about Texas Tech, right? Even Texas Tech on some level can't be as aggressive and freewheeling unless a bunch of money comes off the books, like David Bailey. If they gave David Bailey $3 million, well, he ain't coming back next year. So that money does get to be reinvested. But at some point, whatever that split of revenue money is used, and then it gets to be a little trickier in how you get guys money unless you're going under the table and just giving guys money the old-fashioned way in a briefcase, which we're seeing more of that as well, especially now that there are some guardrails. It used to be, we don't even need to do that anymore because there are no guardrails. And now it's like, y'all got some guardrails? Okay, we'll just get a sack full of cash and hand it to them at a home game, and we'll just go about doing it the old-fashioned way.
Back to the bags.
Back to the bags.
Y'all got those bags? Can we get the bags back out, please? All right, Jay, let's grab this super chat here on this discussion. There's only one position that would have made a massive difference this year, and that's O-line.
That's just not true.
But we all know how that recruiting has gone. Yeah, I would disagree there. There's multiple positions.
Jay.
A massive difference?
A truly plus level running back, a truly plus number one level wide receiver. They're terrible at tight end.
Right. That has not been an impactful position at all.
And that's a little bit of a swing and miss, I guess, because they probably would have. And look, I'll defend Jack injuries a little bit. He's not a very good blocker. We've not yet learned through any real usage of the tight end that's Arch Manning's thing.
Right. And to be fair, Andrews would probably tell you, I'm not coming to Texas to block. Like, that's not.
But he's not been a guy that's really been featured in the passing game.
Exactly.
And I think it's easy to say that that's on injuries.
Yeah.
And maybe, although, it's hard for me to imagine Arch just hates tight ends.
It's honestly, for me, I've always thought the evolution of a quarterback, they don't always see the middle of the field immediately. They have to, for some reason, the eyes want to go side to side. And sometimes you got to wait.
Yeah, man, but Jack injuries,
it's got to develop a little
Jack
bit.
Injuries is averaging less than 10 yards a catch.
Oh, no, everything needs to be
there's a
better
lot going on there. But the bottom line is, if there had been, they don't make a run at the kid that signs with Ohio State because they just weren't ready to spend the money in December to go get the Max Clare kid.
Yeah, who hasn't really been great either.
No, but he is an upgrade. He will be a guy that's drafted probably by the end of day 2.
Yeah.
But he's not been the guy who's the reason for their success in the passing game with Julian Sayin.
Yeah.
But they have him in their hip pocket. Like, it's all relative, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
If you took that guy's stats and kind of his impact and put them into the Texas team, I mean, the margins in a couple of these games have been thin enough. This team's probably 8-2 if Malik Muhammad's not hurt against Florida. I think they probably win that game. As crazy as it thinks to one little sliding glass doors moment, he misses that game. That guy has that performance.
That's what's got me a little nervous.
But I think on the offensive side, I can run through almost every position on offense other than quarterback, and probably say there's a guy. And look, you could even argue, if you wanted to optimize what you're getting out of the quarterback position this season, then you need to go into the portal and get somebody.
Right. And I mean, Sandman throughout offensive line, running back, tight end, wide receiver, basically every offensive position. Couldn't have hurt. It couldn't have hurt.
You know what's crazy about that? We knew it. And I need everybody to think about this point, because I thought everybody was transparent about it in the offseason. Everybody knew that there were some who resisted the notion that the roster wasn't as good.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to downplay Jaden Blue's impact on the offense. They tried to hype up the receivers that were coming back as a way of saying someone will be Matthew Golden this year, that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
What we said, though, yes, Offensive line on paper is pretty shabby looking. Yes, receivers way down from what it's been. Yes, they didn't replace Jaden Blue. Yes, they don't have a tight end that's as good as Gunnar Helm. But Arch is going to be so good that even though all that other stuff is true, he's going to magically elevate all of those guys, because it's not an incorrect assertion to say that a great quarterback does make the players around him better.
Yeah, and we thought he would be at a certain level that he would not go below, and he certainly has gone below that level.
Well,
he's not there now, but
it's unreal.
He started there.
What Julian Sayin is doing at Ohio State are not the same circumstances that Arch Manning is working with at Texas.
Correct.
So he's got an offensive line that's not getting him killed from week to week.
Yep.
He's got a running game that has worked, not been great.
Right. It's not last year's running game for them, but it's been all right.
He has dudes that he can throw the ball to.
He's got 3 receivers that are pretty terrifying.
They have they lost Carnell Tate for the season, right? And it's like,
oh yeah, I guess.
And it's like, it doesn't matter. They still have guys.
Yeah.
And
those dudes. Yep.
So it's just a situation where, it's kind of ridiculous to think that before Arch Manning ever started a game on the road, he was a great player. That's unrealistic.
Right.
There's very few players. There's no great player that we can even mention in recent memory that we can say, well, they just skipped all of that process.
But you thought he'd be pretty good.
I did.
Yeah, I did too.
What? And I think he is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I think the guy that we've seen since the Oklahoma game minus the Kentucky game.
Right.
I mean, it is a huge asterisk.
A lot of
but that's what you get when you have young quarterbacks.
Yeah, right.
And
that aren't being protected and have limited weapons.
Well, and if I said, like, look, in 5 of the last 6 games, he's been very good.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. But the thing is, the one that wasn't very good was so ugly that it caused people to question everything that was happening around them. But even when that happened in real time, I was like, I don't think this is who he is, but I think this is who young quarterbacks can be.
Yep.
And I don't know that he won't have one of those games in the last 2 weeks of the season. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, but I can't guarantee that against A&M, the very good version of Arch Manning takes the field. I think there's a very good chance it could.
Yeah.
But it could be one last reminder that why is it that we keep hearing that Arch's family wants him to start 25 games before going pro?
Yeah.
Because it takes 25 games to be the kind of guy who's good enough to go pro.
Yep.
His family thinks that. We were like, game 3, go do it in Columbus. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just because. Not because I think there's really a long history of examples that we can point to go, oh, remember when the guy in his 3rd career start just went from not really experienced at all to great, and they just beat everybody? Just in retrospect, we should question. We just need to remind ourselves. I'm usually thought of as like the most nitpicking son of a bitch that covers this team. People say that I'm negative. People say that I'm too hard on the coaches and the players and everything. I predicted this team to go to the national championship game.
Yes, you did.
And I did so knowing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like we didn't talk about every single element of the stuff that we've talked about throughout the season. We talked about in the offseason, and we just dismissed it because we thought, well, Arch would be magical.
Right.
With no real proof yet that he was that guy.
And we also talked about the questions on the other teams. Were the other teams really able to step up? Were those other quarterbacks really going to be able to, to get things done?
But, when you think about the recruiting decisions they're making right now, they made decisions last year with portal guys at every position: running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line. Arch is here. And it was a dangerous whoopee blanket.
Yeah, we kept asking that question over and over again. We kept making the Ocean's 11 reference of, you better know, you got a GD, know you're going to steal from Terry Benedict. If you're going with this to protect him and the weapons to put around him, boy, you better be right. And they just haven't been.
And I've heard, and look, I think everything's been so contentious behind the scenes this week, weirdly. I think that they're actually, when the season's over, there will, I think, be some conversations about like, hey, what happened last year?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I've been told, and I don't have any real reason to believe that it didn't happen this way, because I have talked to other people. I've talked to enough people about this subject matter that I know that Sark could have gone into the portal and got a Concepcion, could have gone into the portal and been a stronger player for a branch if that's what they wanted to do.
Right.
They made a real conscientious decision that they thought Ryan Wingo was going to be the number one guy. And he didn't have a blank checkbook, but they were like, yo, if you need us to go get a guy, we'll go get a guy.
Yeah, and the danger ended up being, unlike Jonte Cook, who had 8 catches the previous season, he had enough catches, so did DeAndre Moore, that it made you think, okay, they just need to extrapolate that and continue to get better, and they can turn into a 1 and a 2.
Except it's a horrible miscalculation in retrospect, because you've lost all your big playmaking, really, your speed. I mean,
right.
Ryan Wingo isn't really a deep threat as much as he is a deep threat when you throw it to him short. You know, like he can take it 80, but he's not a real skilled receiver yet down the field. DeAndre Moore, I think we will exit this season. And the theme of the passing game going into next year will be Ryan Wingo can't be the number one going into the season. Can't trust that. He doesn't catch the ball clean enough. He's not consistent enough.
I'd agree.
And I think you have to go into that thing thinking we can't count on DeAndre Moore for anything. And I know that sounds harsh because I think he's a good player, but I think you have to treat him like found money. I think part of the problem that they had with DeAndre Moore this season was that they counted on him and said, we're not going to go into the portal because we think this guy will take the next step. He hasn't. You can't make that mistake again. You can't. At this point, he's been not 100% healthy in each of the last 2 seasons. He's battled some niggling injuries. And, I think they just got to be a lot more aggressive. I think that they've been so aggressive at defensive tackle.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, right? It's like
that they've addressed.
It's like, do we need to sign? They're a little bit like the Ocean's 11 reference, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need another guy.
You think we need another guy?
We need another guy, right?
We'll get another
guy.
Which kind of brings us back around to Anderson, because that's his position. With all you've done at D tackle, what do you do with that guy in terms of NIL?
And you would also say that Texas next year on paper is pretty deep. Well, the biggest thing that they really don't need now is defensive linemen.
Right. That part they've
got to find a way to get Richard Wesley onto the field next year, right? Because this is a team that will return Colin Simmons. They'll have Lance Jackson coming back. So there's, in theory, your 2 bookends, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to imagine that Lance Jackson and Colin Simmons aren't your 2 starting defensive ends next year. But you still have Umazula, who is a guy that's been playing. So have Brad Spence coming back next year. You still have Richard Wesley coming in next year. I mean, you are in an incredibly enviable position with defensive end edge talent coming into next season. And at defensive tackle, for the first time, you kind of return everybody. Hero Kanu, Murad Watson, Alex January. You lose. I think Levon Johnson hasn't played much, but he comes back.
What about Brevard and Shaw?
Brevard and Shaw are your 2 guys that are gone.
They're gone, right? Okay.
But you return everybody else, and you still have Melvin Hills, who you've recruited. You still have James Johnson, who's in this recruiting class, not an inexpensive player. So when you look at a guy like Anderson this weekend, it's like, okay, well, if we don't live in a world where we can just spend whatever we want all the time, and choices have to be made, who's making these choices? Is anybody talking? Does anybody have enough agency to really have his ear and go, hey, come sit down. Let's talk about like the nuts and bolts of this.
Right.
And like, does he do this on the seat of his pants? What does he rely on? Like there's the indication from people who know these things are that like Sark just kind of goes and decides and does it. And like is so singularly focused that he can do it. But there is like the but can you do everything
Yeah.
all the time?
Hold that thought, because I have a question on that. We're at the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room. Let's hear from another one of our great partners, AV Consultations, with the holidays coming up.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations, and all of us at Audiovisual would like to wish you and your family a happy holiday season. This time of year can get a little hectic, so we want to remind you to relax, enjoy the season with your family and friends, and give us a call at 512-255-8678 for all of your home entertainment needs. This is my favorite time of the year. I love the holidays, the music, the decorations, the presents, the whole darn thing. So this year I'm asking all you listeners to help make this a special holiday for everyone. Smiles are contagious and free, so let's give them away like the government gives away your money. Let's high-five strangers on the street, hold the door for people behind us, tip your servers more than they've ever been tipped before, give to a charity, or hell, give to a bunch of charities. If someone does a good job, tell them they did a good job. Pat someone on the butt, sing in public places just because it feels good. And as always, hug your kids until they beg you to stop, watch some games with your friends, and make love to your wife or your husband. I know there's some women listening too. You can still give us a call at 512-255-8678 if you'd like to get some cool electronics, but more importantly, have a great holiday season and a friggin' awesome next year.
All right. Always a shout out to AV Consultations. Tell them you heard about it on OB Live. Our man ATX Bates jumping in for $4.99. Buy or sell. You'd take either Florida's Wilson or Auburn's Coleman, but lose all the 5-star freshmen. And you'd take the Missouri running back, but lose Cooper and Baxter.
Okay, so look, ATX Bates, I feel like we're stealing your $5. I do. Like, if all those 5-star receivers hit their apex, they're only as good as Coleman. So
it's a double buy, isn't it?
I'm taking Coleman. Dallas Wilson's an interesting one. I think you could have a conversation there because his season's not.
It's been a weird one.
Why you take the Texas game away?
That flash against Texas, and then it didn't happen again.
Anwar's like, that's not the guy that they should go get. That guys, they need someone who's a proven number one guy.
I could see that argument, yeah.
And not a guy who's had one big game against a team that had its backups in it.
Of those two, you would say Coleman.
The running backs question of you take the Missouri running back, Ahmad Hardy.
Talking about Hardy?
Who averages almost 7 yards a carry and is on pace for about 1,700 yards this season.
Yeah, he's part of why I think they're beating OU tomorrow morning.
We're
like, come on now. Yeah.
You're going to have ATX Bates. You know what?
You're going to make us both look at the camera.
ATX Bates, you don't have to send another super chat. But you have to send a better, like, you have to quiz.
Better by yourself.
Yeah, like, give us something that we have to actually think about. Like, that was a non-thinking question.
But these are the thoughts, Catch, that Texas fans are having right now of they know that that this last sequence cannot happen again, that transfer portal from last year cannot happen again. You can't miss on this many big names. My question for you just set it up perfectly about Sark making these decisions. You've laid it out very well about Sark is the one that makes all these decisions. He's the guy that is going to say yes or no. Do you think we'll get an indication this weekend from the stuff you hear in recruiting, whether it's about Anderson and NIL, Derek Cooper, whoever it is? Do you think you'll get an indication coming off of the weekend where you go, oh, that may be what the offseason's going to feel like?
I don't think so.
Okay, because if he is a guy that doesn't want a committee, like you're talking about, he doesn't want to talk to anybody, and it's just him, do you think he could do something this weekend that would give you an indicator?
No.
Okay.
No, because I think that we'll hear the same. I think the official kind of like what's our standard operating statement of procedure is that we're going to have whatever we need to get it done in recruiting and in the portal. Like, I think that's the official projection.
Mm-hmm. You're saying money-wise.
Yeah. So I think if they were to go out and get an Anderson, what you would hear is like, oh, we're going to be okay. We're going to have this.
We'll figure it out. We're Texas. This will happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will hear that, and I will report it if that's what my sources say.
Yeah.
But I will also at that point be like, look, at some point we pay attention to where Peter potentially robs to pay for Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I just don't think that I'm super curious, but no, I don't think unless like Anderson goes home and he talks to, I don't know, some Rivals national reporter. And he's like, he does an interview with Steve Wiltfong, and he goes, what'd you think of your Texas visit? Dude, they wasted my time. I asked him about like money. And they were like, we ain't got no money.
He
Like,
might
other than something so dramatically like that. What?
he might tell Jason Zuccarello that. You never know.
You never know. Well, I just, some of these kids this late in the year only answer the phone a couple times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just
Right.
if they even do that because they want to control the announcement. So if Jason can pull that off, Hercules.
Kids, y'all answer that phone when Jason Zuccarello calls you. He's a nice guy.
He'll stalk you at the airport if you're not careful.
That's a strong word. I wouldn't say stalk.
I would. He would.
He will visit.
What
the
is it when you
airport
fall? What
occasionally.
is it? What is it when as soon as somebody shows up at the airport, you never take your eyes off them and never stop following them?
Investigative journalism.
What does the person who's being followed call that?
A strong want to get the truth.
I mean, you know what? And this is a perfect example of like beauty really is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
One man stalking. You know what?
It's another.
And I got to be honest.
It's another man's job.
I got to be honest. Like this is what gets men in trouble.
Here we go.
No, seriously, isn't it the most man thing in the world to be like, it's not stalking. Technically, I followed that girl around in her neighborhood because I was investigating her driving behavior for the neighborhood. Like, I'm just saying.
It's a blog I was putting together.
I think when it's us, when it's men, we just need to call it stalking, just as a general rule of like, let's not make mistakes in the name of like, we're being too hard on us by calling stuff stalking.
Michelle.
I just feel like we're due some. It needs to swing back the other way a little bit. Like at some point, we really needed to be like, you know what, stalking is a little too much.
You know what, Michelle? These kids are always lying. I don't agree. I don't believe that for a second. No, they don't lie to Jason. What are you talking about? How dare you? How dare you? They never lied to him. They appreciate the commitment. That's what they think. Committed. He's committed to his job.
Let me tell you the difference in relationships with recruits now versus today.
Okay.
When I worked at KITV, so this would have been like 99. I won't say the name of the prospect, but it was a defensive lineman in the 1999 class. Not Corey Redding.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy went out of state. I call him up. This guy never answers the phone. He picks up the phone. It's a teenage kid.
Yeah.
And I was convinced that kid was having sex. Like it just sounded like sex breathing. And I was like, hey, I can let you go. Like, we don't have to talk right now.
It's catch from Orange Blood.
And he gave me the like, no, I'm good. And I remember putting him on pause. And I was like, Andy, it's like, I think this kid's having sex while he's talking to me on the phone. And he goes, well, what did he say? He's like, he said
he's good.
He's a good.
He said
and
he's
he goes,
fine.
And you don't have proof? He's like, you need to take that interview unless you have a little bit more. And I was not the wrong answer.
You got to take him at his word.
Hey, all I'm telling you is it has been 27 years later, and I'm still creeped out by the uncertainty of what it was. Today, that kid just doesn't pick up the phone.
You know what they call that? Multitasking.
In the 90s, kids, like if you're under 30, you wouldn't even know this. But in the 90s, there was like a thing of like you called someone back out of respect. You didn't have to like them.
Dude.
It wasn't about that. It was about they called you, and by God, you have to call them back.
That's keeping your head on a swivel.
Today,
right there.
it's like, my mom will call me, and I'm like, yeah, you're not getting me now.
Dude, I was in the bed the other day. I took 3 calls from recruiting guys. It was incredible. I'm that talented. I can keep everything. Figured out. That's just versatility.
I'm just saying it was a different day back in the day. Like,
yeah, you're right. It was all very different when it came to the recruits and how they thought of phone calls. Because nowadays, like you can't scare my child any more than by threatening her with a phone call. An actual voice-to-voice phone call. That scares
human interactions.
That scares kids to death right now. Who's talking on a phone? All you old men. That's all that's talking on a phone.
What? Okay, I won't take the show down that way. I have some parental parenting.
I like the
questions
control.
to ask.
I feel like there was control that was shown there. That was
slightly.
Yeah, that was well done. All right, let's remind you, we're at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. It's a great place to show up. to buy some bottles of Deep Eddy vodka. Again, sadly, the espresso bottles are gone, but they've got the other 9 flavors ready for you out here. Plus, you can come get those 4 cocktails that I mentioned earlier that do contain the espresso. Those are here as long as it lasts. So they're hoping they can get through November and into December a little bit with the espresso vodka. Come out here for that. If you need your Deep Eddy vodka and you can't get out here today, go get stocked up at Specs.
When loved ones all gather for gourmet delight, Specs raises spirits all through the night. Thanksgiving is here to bring out the best. Wine pairing is caring and leaves guests impressed. Nothing's off limits, sweatpants or black tie. Just leave enough room for Specs pecan pie. Shop thousands of ways to upgrade your thankful. Specs lower prices keep wallets quite tranquil. So raise a glass and sing your praisings. When you stock up at Specs, it's cheers to savings.
No, I've never had a picnic as good as
we were
other
talking
spot.
about the Spec spot, and they've got a current Spec spot that involves a picnic. I almost want you to play it. And I watched it the first time.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, I have never been on a picnic that nice in my entire life. And I even wanted to ask, it might have been Brian was on. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to get into a picnic conversation. And then in the middle of that last spot, Chad mentions
there's a 3-part question for me based on the look of the picnic and the look of one of the people at the picnic. How do you think the picnic ends?
Well,
I want everybody to think about that, and I'm going to play it.
When fall's chill hits the air, raise a glass with cash to spare. Specs can fill those longer nights with fancy cheese and wine flights. Camp is set and the night is young? Grab a brewski, time for fun. Game day underway? Specs delivers. It's a great day. Picnic in the park, perfect pairing for the heart. Stock up and save on seasonal cheer, because when you shop at Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, shout cheers to savings.
They got busy after the picnic. I mean, it was
right.
It was set up so nice, it almost made me think of like somebody set it up too nice and they're going to get rejected. But she did not look at him like.
No. She looked at him like, well done setting up this picnic.
You don't have to say it.
Right? Yeah. Well done setting up this picnic. That's exactly what it was. Shout out to Specs for being the sponsor, of course, of the Specs Chat every day. You see the rabbit up in the upper right, Texas Card House up in the upper right corner. Again, come see us at TCH Social Austin. I'll throw that one up again tomorrow, 2:30 kick for Texas and Arkansas. We cannot wait for that.
I have a last kind of question for you.
Okay, dope.
Are you really going with this OU thing?
Absolutely. I think they're losing. I think they lose 21-16. Crazy kind of war. Missouri's got a really good defense. The idea, and this is before I found out Prabula could play. Now I'm finding out Prabula went from doubtful to questionable. I think, people continue to fool themselves into believing the national group is fooling themselves about John Mateer. We've talked about it all season long.
Oh, that's true.
Here's my stat of the week. John Mateer, you take a guess. Passing efficiency in the country. Where do you think he's rated in America?
85th.
Ooh, you're right in the neighborhood. Very good. He's 82nd in
Oh,
the
wow.
country.
I was close.
He's 82nd. And catch, that is 8 spots.
Oh, man. I went over Price is Right rules, though.
No. 8 spots lower than Lenoris Sellers of South Carolina.
You know what's interesting in OU games? By the way, have I ever been more right about anything ever than John Mateer?
You're the only
Oklahoma offense.
You're the only one. You're the only one I hear that tells me the truth about John Mateer. I think you've been right all season. I think we've been right about that team and him all season. I do not know what this mess is. Everybody keeps talking. I really don't understand it.
It is so strange. They average, I think, the fewest yards per attempt of any team in the country.
Oh my God.
And
yeah,
they do this thing where in the game they're talking about how awful the offense is.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side of their mouth, they say that John Mateer is one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Their passing offense is 69th in the country. Total offense is 87, and they're 97th in the country running the ball. And Missouri's a top 20 run defense. I think Missouri can stop that team. I think they can make it really uncomfortable. I think they can Missouri is top 15 in time of possession. I think Hardy's going to run the ball. I think they're going to keep the ball from OU. And we have to stop. We have to stop congratulating teams for taking advantage of Alabama's sloppiness. They went to Tuscaloosa and went +3 in turnovers and got that pick 6. Okay, Alabama puked all over themselves and lost that game. And we're acting like Oklahoma went in there and put together some kind of incredible performance. They didn't. That was a sloppy, messy, they barely got it done football.
Yeah, but they're a sloppy, messy, barely get it done football team. But I respect them for that.
Right.
Like, I think that, and that's why.
And coming off of at Tennessee, the big win, at Bama, the big win, 11 a.m. kick, sleepy time in Norman. They think they're awesome. They think Mateer's great. They think he is the next Johnny Manziel. And I think Missouri's going to make him pay tomorrow. Mainly, I'm hoping it for y'all, Texas fans, because I want you to feel something good. I want you to feel like the path to the CFP can happen, and you need Oklahoma out of the way. I think Missouri could help you. Hell, I think LSU could beat them. How about that? I think LSU could beat OU too. Boom. You want to know how much I hate OU?
Hey,
that's how much.
It's not a can, right? Like, it's not like, and I don't think they're incapable. I would just say, what's the Missouri performance this season? They're Texas in a lot of ways. Missouri's this team that you look at.
No, that's fair.
And you go, they could be this good.
Right.
But in reality, there's not a whole lot that you can point to say,
right, in
that moment, they were as good as they'll need to be in Norman to beat an Oklahoma team that I think you're right is ripe for a letdown. I just don't know. I almost would feel better if it was Auburn or Arkansas in a way, right? Like almost a team that I know would show up and be like YOLO.
At least put some points up and stuff. Yeah. I'll be interested to see what it looks like. But I do. I'm out there. I'm on the limb.
I think the scary thing about Arkansas for me tomorrow is they'll play that game YOLO ball.
Absolutely. Well, Talon Green is so scary because
he's a YOLO ball player.
His ceiling, when he hits a ceiling, I think of Jalen Hurts at Alabama. But when he hits the floor, I am not sure who I think of. Like, name the sloppiest, he'll cost you quarterback you've ever seen in your life. That's the low end for Talon. But when that high end hits, what did you say the other day? He's got 5 rushing touchdowns of 50+. Was that the stat you threw out?
I did not have that.
I swear I heard somebody throw one of those out this week, but he will do that. It'll be like 3rd and 12. You're about to get him off the field. And then he just kind of lightly scampers for 47. And they're like, wait, what just happened?
I mean, he's just dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think Texas, I think we're at this point, we're on the record with what this game's going to be. No one's watching this now this deep into the video for hard-hitting Texas-Arkansas analysis because they'll probably have seen this game before this takes place. But I just think that we're going to learn a lot really about not who Texas is going to be the rest of the season. Tomorrow is going to tell us just who they are.
Yep.
And it might just be that we know who they are and just they're running out of chances to redefine themselves. And really,
that's fair.
If it wasn't A&M, they probably actually are out of chances. To I don't know what even beating A&M fully accomplishes other than it's like, oh, we were so close. We're never going to schedule a difficult game in non-conference in September again. But in reality, this team all season long hasn't been good enough. And when we talk about the play, and I think that's the thing that's got Texas fans the most frustrated. There's a quality of play they know week in and week out they're not seeing. And in a weird way, the playoff discussion is clouding the ability to say, we're not really all that good, actually. How do we stop being average? How do we get to where we were the last 2 seasons? And it's like, well, what are you talking about? We control our destiny in the playoffs. And so, rich people problems, right? Wealthy people problems. Like, oh my God, we really need to lose some games to really know how we beat Ohio State next year in 2026. I mean, it's a very narrow-minded conversation of sorts, but it is the world that we live in.
All right, you ready to roll?
I am.
We done? All right, real quick. I just want to let everybody know Kelly's with me. Kelly's with me. Missouri beats OU. There it is. MIZ. All right, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Come on, drink.
What do you call Missouri?
Get it done.
Do you Mizzou? Like if you're writing out,
I say Mizzou.
I always do this with the Big 12, the SEC Power Poll.
Uh-huh.
because I got to put everybody's votes into a spreadsheet. Your Tennessee, I'll do like a TN.
Oh, I see. When I'm doing it like that, I go MIZZ.
See, I'll do the full Mizzou.
You say Mizzou? Okay.
I say
Mizzou, but I will write out MIZZ.
Somehow I abbreviate and shorten everybody
Yeah.
except for Missouri.
See right there on my score sheet, MIZZ at OU.
I mean, I'm just surprised we just don't MZ it.
Just MZ.
But I'm like MIZZOU. It kind of messes up the spreadsheet sometimes.
The Missouri fans would appreciate you, I think, for doing that, for going all the way to Mizzou, because they do love that. They scream it at each other. They scream. One screams MIZ and the other
like
screams ZOU.
I don't go TENN with Tennessee.
No, I just go TN.
Yeah,
TN. Yeah. That's a good point. Next week we'll have a show about abbreviating SEC.
Late on a Friday. You're lucky we're not already drinking and eating barbecue.
That is fair. That is what we're about to do. Remember, get out to the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room for the rest of that espresso vodka. It's in the cocktails here. It's only here because the bottles have sold out. So come have one of those 4 cocktails or all of them. Get on out here for the Crimson Creek Smokehouse Barbecue. We're about to go have some of the Crimson Creek Smokehouse Barbecue. It's awesome, and it is good enough. I was texting somebody this week. It's good enough. I'd send you out here just for the barbecue. But you also get the cool Deep Eddy vodka. So check that out. Next week, Thanksgiving week, we'll have shows Monday through Thursday, including a special Thursday show that'll probably be recorded. So you'll need to look in the video section for that. But that's coming next week.
That's very geeky.
It is a little geeky.
There will be Thursday shows.
But the geeks are here at the end. These are the people waiting for Scottish Guy. They understand these kind of
Touche.
things. Yeah, right.
Touche.
These are the maniacs that have waited around. So, okay. It is Friday. You guys come see us at TCH Social Austin tomorrow for the watch party. Come out to Deep Eddy Vodka today. You know how it all works. We got a Q&A coming up. Ketch's going to answer everybody's questions and all that good stuff. We will close, as we normally do on a Friday during the season, with the Scottish Guy. Y'all have a great weekend. Thanks to Deep Eddy Vodka for having us out. Y'all take care. See ya.
All hell's breaking loose. Hey, hey, have you read the news? All hell's breaking loose. Overloaded and blowing my fuse. Save yourselves. Run for cover. Dogs and cats living together. The Texas football program is falling apart right before our eyes. My God, they lost to Georgia. Wait, that's it? They lost to Kirby? Sure, the 4th stanza looked like Peyton against those kids on SNL, but these things happen when folks go to Athens and SEC officials are present. Now you have to refocus, beat the crap out of the pigs, then see if these Aggies can be different from all those other Aggies. Just don't let the drama consume you. Desmond Howard takes out the trash and mentions Sark. Then Sark doesn't want to hear about penalties and rips voters for thinking he was number 1. Oh boy. Sark, remember what Coach McBrown says about your job and the box of BBs? You're gonna need a bigger box. But more than that, when 1 or 2 hit the floor, remember, you don't have to pick them all up yourself. Get some help. To quote the hot mom from Landman, make what you can make in life and have others make the rest. You know why they're mad, Sark, because you can't lose to that Florida team and nobody thought this Aggie group would be this good. Even them. You get to run it back in 2026. Just don't make the same mistakes. And breathe. Oh, and great news! You're playing Arkansas this week. It's a defense so bad, everybody's got a good running game. Will they score? Oh yeah, it's Petrino. He always scores fast, but crashes at the end. At least that's what I've heard. All right, Sark, Arch, Simmons, and all the rest. This is where they doubt you, and you respond. This is where you lean on your talent and each other, and this is where you just make the damn bacon. UT62, a pork butt speed bump 3. This is SG, SQUEAL.